Hi, welcome back to Giving Tree Surrogacy's podcast from Bump to Bond. I am so excited for today's episode. We're going to be talking about why women become surrogates, and I am excited to introduce our guest today, Elisa Hannes, who is an experienced surrogate and also a longtime friend of mine. So, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I am so glad you're here to share your story. You have a great story to share, and I'm so excited to see you face to face.
I
It's
know.
been a while.
I know. Thank you so much for having me on. Like, it means so much to me that you asked. I am more passionate about this than almost anything in my life. When people bring it up to me, I can't wait to talk about it. It's so special. It's so special to me.
So, first of all, can you just share kind of your background about your upbringing, your family life, where you grew up, and a little bit more about your family?
Yeah. So I grew up in this like western suburbs of Chicago. And I'm an only child, and I had a beautiful relationship with my parents. I still do. I growing up was really peaceful and great. I was very fortunate for that. I think a family unit was so important to me, and I think it's always been very important to me. But being an only child, I think I was always so wanting a sibling. It was always like such a big deal to see a big family. And so I think for me personally, it was always a plan of mine to have a big one. Like that was always a big focus of my life.
Yeah. And how many kids do you have now?
Right now I have 3. Mhm.
Great.
Yeah, 3 of my own.
Yes. And how old are they?
So I have one that's almost 13, my son, and then my daughter's gonna be 10, and then my little one is only 10 months.
Yes, they're so cute.
Mhm.
So, going back to you being an only child, what do you feel like that made you more interested in surrogacy? How did you land on the decision to become a surrogate?
Yeah, well, it was you. I mean, we've been friends since we were young. 15? I think we were friends since we were
Wow,
15,
yeah,
16.
I think so.
And, I remember when I saw you post that you were doing it, and I knew you from being so young and how, important it was to you to even carry because of everything that your sister went through, that, like, the fact that you actually went through it was so inspiring, and so I remember reaching out to you right away, and I was like, "Hey, tell me everything, like, how cool, like, good for you, this is so beautiful." You told me your whole story, and I was just beyond touched. And I think having someone close to you that goes on this type of journey that's so powerful, for me spiritually was just so strong. It just like spoke to me, and it was something I felt like I couldn't imagine like not being a part of. Like I thought it was so unique and so cool. And my daughter at the time was only 1, or she was almost 1, and I asked you about it and you sent me a video. I think it was like a 10-minute video, and it was all these families and people that were not able to have kids, whether it be because they medically couldn't, or it was 2 men or 2 women or whatever it may be. And I remembered where I was standing. I was like in the living room, and I'm bawling my eyes out, like, oh, I just felt spiritually this is something I need. And my husband at the time, he came in the door, and he was like, "Oh my god, what?" And I was like, "I have to do
Is
this."
everything okay?
Excuse me? I'm like, "No, I have to do this." Like, it felt like everything in me was like, there's nothing more I wanna do than to be able to, help somebody be something that I am so blessed to be. Like, it's something I'm so passionate about, like, being a mother, and just my daughter being 1, it was just like, ugh, it was just been it was such a beautiful time in my life. So, yeah, it just came to me after talking to you, like, how, like, it was just so inspiring. I just wanted to be able to do that for somebody.
Yeah, I think so. It brings up a couple things for me. First of all, to just the importance of sharing stories because you never know who it's going to reach and how it's going to touch them and um, potentially impact them in a way that inspires them to do it too, or share it with another person that might be interested if they aren't able to. So sharing stories, I think, is just so important. Um, and also just I was not surprised that you were the first person to reach out to me about this because one thing about you is you are so passionate about everything that you do, and you just love so hard. And I think you were the perfect surrogate for any intended parent to match with because of that. You're so passionate and driven in those ways. And when you feel impacted by something that strongly, you're going to follow through and you're going to do it with your whole heart. And that's such an important piece of surrogacy, to really just be open to whatever ride it's going to be. And so I knew, like, as soon as you reached out, I knew that you were going to do it and you would have a successful journey. And so it just fills my heart that you were able to do that for another intended parent or two. So that kind of goes into our next point, is that you carried for a same sex couple, and I did as well. So I feel like
Mhm.
we can bond over that.
We
Tell
talked
me
about that. We did talk about that too. Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And I think so when you match with a same-sex couple, first of all, did you feel like you went into it with a certain type of match? Did you want to specifically match with a same-sex couple, or I can't remember exactly how that went.
Think my original thought, um, right away was like, I'm not gonna play God. Like it just felt so wrong to me to feel like, "Oh, not you. Sorry, not you."
Oh, yeah.
It's not natural for me to be that way. I think the only thing that wouldn't have matched is if they felt like they didn't want me. That was the only thing I was gonna, like,
Yeah.
run up against. So, for me, it was I remember telling you, like, "Whoever you guys send or whoever I get sent, that is someone I'm absolutely going to speak to right away."
Mhm.
I remember asking you after, about it, and you said, like, there was something so special about that. Like, yours were 2 men, mine were 2 men. I felt like there was, like, a natural, um, sister and brother love there. Like, there was, like, a love for me that they
Yeah.
felt, and I'm also Spanish, so I feel like that was, like, also something that was a big deal because 'cause they're, Spanish too. But I feel like it was, like,
Mhm.
something that just, like, grabs me. Like, I was like, "This is, like, it feels like family instantly for me." And I remember asking, like, "How do you feel about that?" Like, I wasn't even thinking. I thought whoever, you sent, but when I read the stories they both wrote to me separately, and I just love, and I think everyone, deserves the right to be a parent if that's what they want. Like, I feel like everyone should be able to have that moment, and I, uh, remember the one thing I thought about was the fact that they already had a son. So the sperm from one man and the egg from this woman were the same egg as the other man's sperm embryos. So they were related. They would be related by the
Yes.
donor. And I thought that that was so powerful because I was able to give my daughter or my son a sister. And I was like, to be able to give another boy a sibling is like, that is like spiritually on a spiritual level for me was like, that is next level for me. Like, okay, not only did I do it once, but I could literally give another sibling out. Are you kidding? Like,
Yeah.
it was just a done deal then. I was like, this little boy gets to have something I never had. And I'm like, how cool to be able to like give you your sister. And I will never forget. He was like, thank you for my sister. And I was like, that's it. Like, that is why you do it for that moment of like,
Mhm.
like, I just am rushing to the end, but I have to say, like, that is in my mind just kept being pulled back to that, was like, nothing is more powerful than not just the parents, but this boy gets to see his sibling. It's like,
Yeah.
and my son loved it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's very special.
Yeah, it's such a full circle moment for you because to match with intended parents that are pursuing a sibling for their child. Um, let's talk about that, because there are surrogate applicants that are unsure if they want to match with intended parents that already have a child. And we would encourage anyone to match with whatever type of intended parent they want to match with. But I think that there is that special bond and that piece that you're touching on that kind of gets missed. And it's not that it's not special because it's not their first baby. having a second child, a third child, a fourth child, every child that you have is special, and then the bond too that is being created between the first child and the second that you're able to help them complete their family in that way, it's still just as impactful,
Oh.
and such an important moment.
And you're making it more of a, it's a family moment. Like, it's a
Yeah,
family thing. It's like, you're the parents of the IPs are gonna feel like, "Oh my gosh, oh, another grandkid." Like, I feel like everybody's involved in it. So I
yeah,
think the fact that this little boy got to go on the journey, and now he gets to see the journey from a different perspective, being he didn't know what that was like, being born or into this, and how it was and how unique and cool it is, and then be able to watch his sister go through it, having this connection with my son, like, he
yeah.
still talks to my son, like, they're almost the same age. So it's like a super
It's
special
so sweet.
have, yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that it almost makes it feel like, um, he's a part of it.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
I think it's re but for me, I think I'm very big on my kids feeling like they have a say in our life, and so I feel like that's how I thought it was for them too, like, they were, like, really, like, having him involved and, like, wanting to name her, and, like, it was just very special, like, they just really had him involved in it.
So, if you're a surrogate or an intended parent that is interested in learning more, please apply with the link below, and we would be happy to help guide you on your way to such an impactful journey. So, tell me about so after you matched,
Mhm.
you went for medical screening.
Mhm.
What was that like? Can you kind of touch on what the medical screening process is like, and then what injections are like when you started your IVF cycle?
Yeah, I think, I am one to I wanna know nothing so I can just jump in, both feet, like, "No, don't tell me, let me just that's just my
Yeah.
personality, and so when they were trying to break things down to me, I'm like, "Well, just tell me where. I just know just tell me what and
Mhm.
where, and then we're good." Like, I didn't wanna have to think too much into it.
Yeah.
So, the screening scared me because I feel like weight-wise, I don't know, I feel like I was healthy, but I feel like I was still losing my baby weight. I mean, she was only a year. And so I was a little bit nervous about that, I think, but, I thought it was huge that we were able to have, my parents, talk to somebody, and my ex-husband talk to somebody. Like, I think it's like, you need to have it makes sense why you need that. That is someone
Mhm.
carrying your child. It makes so much sense. You should be healthy. I think pregnancy anyway is so much on the body, and I could understand it more from that perspective. Like, everyone should be screened. Like, it's a lot on your body.
Yeah.
And I I think because I was so naive to knowing how many shots and, like, everything that went into it,
Mhm.
I just went after it. So I feel like for me, I am very, like, I feel like I'm very high pain tolerance. So, like, I can handle a lot of pain, but I feel like
Yeah.
the shots in the stomach I did myself. I kinda just went through it, and I got through that, and then I think the thing was, I didn't know how often it can't take. Sometimes it doesn't take, and sometimes,
Mhm.
you miss, that, time, and we flew out there, and after that, I got food poisoning, and so I almost missed
I don't think
the
I knew this.
oh my gosh, I was so sad. I was like, we finished all the shots in the stomach, had to fly out to Connecticut, and we ate dinner out somewhere. We, like, obviously weren't having any dates at all. It was like, "Oh my god, we have a one-year-old and then an older baby." But we went out to eat, and I was violently sick for 24 hours. Like, I was very sick.
This was
And
after the transfer or
no,
before?
the day 2 days before, no, the day before. And so she said to me, "Okay, listen up. If you can't keep water down for at least 12 hours, we can't do it." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, so I have to go home." She's like, "You're gonna have to go home and start over." I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
Oh,
So
no.
for that day, and then we missed the transfer, the day of the transfer, and then we had to, I drank water that whole day, so we stayed an extra day, and then I was able to go in later that day. Thank goodness. I was able to keep water down. I was fine. But she's like, "I mean, this is for, this is huge. This is the time that the baby is going to have to attach. Like, the window is, a certain window."
Mhm.
Um, and so thank goodness everything was okay, but it was bad. I feel like I was the
Yeah,
weakest.
you don't wanna start the injections over. I mean, the thought
Oh
of
my
doing
god.
that, in the back of your mind,
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't allow yourself to get this far because you
Mhm.
needed like one thing at a time, but the thought of a transfer not taking or having a miscarriage and having to do another
Oh
cycle
my
and
god.
transfer, it's a lot. It's
Oh my
emotionally a
god.
lot. The
Mhm.
travel, the injection. So it is such a big commitment and does bring up the importance of screening and really being committed to the process.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm glad you brought up the weight too, because all of our surrogates are moms, and so they've had a baby, whether it's recent or a few years ago, whether, you know, either one, it doesn't matter. It's, I think something that a lot of women worry about and have just kind of this expectation that they will bounce back because they want to do this so much and can get frustrated with the BMI requirements of clinics. And so we do work with women and encourage them and help in any way that we can to achieve BMI goals. But that is something that's set by the clinics, not by the agency. So it's not because we're being judgmental. We've all been there, truly. I was the same way. I was in the best shape of my life before transferring for the twins. Um, each time that when I had my own kids, I tried to like get into running, and that was a really big challenge for me. My
Yeah.
family had runners in the family, and I just never was that. But it did help me lose weight, and then when I was about to transfer leading up to that, I really focused on being as healthy as possible going into that transfer because, like you, I did not want to start over. I wanted to do everything I could to feel like I was in the
Absolutely.
best place that I could be for a successful transfer and healthy pregnancy. So I'm glad you brought that up because it is something that that a lot
Yeah.
of us
Got it.
struggle with or think about or worry about, and that's okay and totally normal.
I think we're hyper vigilant too on, I mean, I was with this pregnancy and like how I felt. Like it was by far my easiest pregnancy, easiest delivery. Um And I feel like I was so not just focused on the eating, but like I was just a sense of calm. It was a very unique experience. So I feel like it just everything on me was like wasn't the stress eating. I wasn't like nauseous. I felt like just very peaceful. And I think it was just because it felt right. And it just felt like it was a good time. Like it was a
Yeah,
good time to do so. So I think it was like I can't imagine being um way more overweight than that. I think it would have been a lot on my body. It's a lot to, run after a toddler. So
mhm, yeah.
uh,
How do you feel like the pregnancy was different than your own, or do you feel like it
oh my
went differently?
I think because I've worked since I was 14 years old, so I've never taken a year off. It was always just working.
Yeah.
And, when I had my kids, I only took off, 4 weeks for my son after my son, and then 6 weeks after my daughter, and that was it, and then went right back to work. So,
Mhm,
I do hair, and I'm like, I have a business, I can't stop. Like, people are, like, looking, for, you to come right back, and it seems crazy, but I'm like, "Hey, this is, like, my life, and I have to work."
mhm,
When I started the surrogacy process, I was doing hair out of the house, and we just moved to Arizona, and I, was working at a coffee shop and I was outside and it was the highest summer we had to date. It was like super, I was like 122 and I want to say I was like 3 months pregnant with the baby. And they said, I can't, I know we had to be outside. We had to be outside to take orders.
yeah,
And so, I made the choice, like not medically, I made the choice to quit and I remember saying, like, this is in the best interest of, the baby. And if that means I can't, make extra money, it is what it is. It was important to me to take care of this baby. And I got to have 6 months home with my daughter. It was so unbelievable to have that time with her and to grow this baby. And we got to, I got to teach her like certain foods that we were eating and why we're eating healthy. And like, it was a special time all around. Like I got to be with my little girl and I got to be carrying someone else's baby was like I never had that experience before. I
yeah,
mean, even this last pregnancy, I worked up until 2 days before I had this baby. It's like
mhm,
I just have always been a worker. So it's like to be able to have those 6 months just growing a baby in this peaceful bubble. Oh,
mhm.
nothing was, I mean, it was nothing like it. So I think because of that, you pay more attention to your body. You are more aware of like the feelings, and when you knew something was off, like you were just so present with yourself because you weren't also working. So I feel like there was just such a presence that the delivery was so easy. Just so easy because I feel like I was just so present with my body.
Did you have a lot of communication with the IPs during pregnancy?
Yeah, they would always reach out to see how I was feeling. If I needed anything, they were so sweet. They sent me a care package once. It was just like this beautiful dress and like all these candles, like just really sweet stuff.
Mhm.
And he actually came to the 20-week ultrasound, and it was like so sweet, like that you flew all the way here to be with me in this moment, and it was just me and him because my ex wasn't there. So it was like a really special moment between the two of us, and we became very quick friends, like really close.
Mhm.
His husband was working a lot, and so he was able to come out, and it was just very special.
Yeah, so you guys were able to bond because, you had each other in that moment, and
Mhm.
did you, introduce him to your kids? Were they involved
Oh
with
yeah.
communication with the IPs as well?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, always. Yep. I mean, in any situation, if they were Skyping, we would be all together. When the baby would kick, I would be sending videos, and Hazel was just learning to say like baby. And so she was like rubbing my belly and telling like, oh, baby, baby, and like telling everybody about the baby. And so I would film them together, and they just loved that. I mean, even now, we're in connection now and contact always. And he'll be like commenting on Instagram, like, oh my God, like, she loves seeing the videos of the kids. And I'm like, oh, we love her. Like, we love her. We wish we were all together. It's like, it's truly, I got so lucky with the family. It is like, I have an extension of my family. It's very special. It's like, and that's up to them. I mean, I think the fact that they even asked me, like, am I able to reach out to you after this? Or did you like, are we done with the journey? I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, I would hope. Like, it was like very special to me that they cared about
Mhm.
that. And I care about that too. So um yeah, I think it was cool to have my kids involved. I remember we were grocery shopping. This is weird story, but we were grocery shopping, and the lady at the checkout was like, "Oh, like, are you so excited for your little sibling?" And Graham's like, "Oh no, that's Jose's baby," or whoever it was. And I said, "Can you not say that? Because people have no idea what that means." Like, then we have to
Yeah.
get into the whole story of like, "Oh, what does that mean?" I'm like, it's like,
Uh-huh.
it's just so like they were so aware from the beginning. They would always say,
Mhm.
"Oh, this isn't our baby. This isn't our baby." And so it was like they knew that there was a separation, and I think it helped me to have the separation. Like,
Mhm.
I remember my dad saying, "I'm really worried about you. I know how nurturing you are. I know how loving you are. I know how being a mom means everything to you. I'm worried. I'm worried that, like, how are you going to handle this? Um, all the way around." And I was like, it to me, this never 1 minute. I was like, every time she would kick, I would be thinking, oh my God, I have to film this for them. And there wasn't a 1 minute of a connection where I thought I'd be like, oh, I can't, like, I don't,
Yeah.
there wasn't that feeling. It was just, I knew, I always say I was the apartment they were renting out.
Yeah. That's so cute. I
Yeah.
love the grocery store story.
Oh my God.
That's so funny.
Like, tell everyone that.
That's
Yeah.
what, my husband was he just had fun with it whenever I was starting the journey, and when he told some of his coworkers that I was pregnant, he did it, like, one step at a time. He first says, "My wife's pregnant," and they're all saying, "Congratulations," and he said, "It's twins," and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Congrats. What like, how do you feel about that?" And he's like, "Well, they're not mine." And
Oh
so
my
and just
God.
left it like that for a minute, and everyone, of course, like, gets really
Yeah.
quiet
Of
and,
course.
feels so uncomfortable, and then he goes into explaining, the surrogacy and everything, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that."
Oh my
So
God.
he had so
So
much fun
funny.
with it, and the
Yeah.
kids, like my kids were, I think, similar ages to
Okay.
yours when I did my journey,
Okay.
and so, yeah, they were involved too and, talked to the dads, and even at delivery, they brought little gifts for my kids, and it was just so sweet, and, because they really are involved, and in our last episode when we talked with Michelle, an experienced surrogate, she talked about the connection with her son to the journey, and his intended parents doing the same thing, or her intended parents doing the same thing. And it's just so impactful. And I love hearing these stories about the ripple effect of journeys, and how it impacts not just the intended parents, but the surrogate too. I know you have said this before, that you your response to people saying, "Oh my gosh, that was such a gift, that you gave to someone." Your response is that this is a gift that you received.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
can you touch on that a little bit so that other people can hear just how beautiful you say it?
Yeah, there was nothing more like powerful to me than that moment. I think being able to watch him hold his daughter, I always say like that. I always feel guilty because I say that delivery was one of my most powerful, impactful moments. And I mean, I've done it 3 times and I'm like, I just was like, that was so special. And I always say that you gave me a gift. Like you gave me the gift of being home with my daughter, being able to experience this with you, being able to see your face light up when you got
Mhm.
to hold her. Like it was a gift to me. It was truly such a gift to me. And so when people say like, "Oh my God, can't believe you do that for somebody," I've never heard of people being so selfless. I was like, yeah, but like I felt selfish because it was so special. Like it was like I just soaked
Mhm.
up every second of it. I feel like I'm so fortunate to be able to have that experience because it is something that it was dreamy. It almost feels like a dream. Like I look back on it, just it was so special to be able to like have that moment with them and just watch them so in love. It was just oh, and then to see their son with her was just, oh my gosh. It just
Yeah.
put it over the edge. Yeah.
Again,
It
if
was
this is something that you are interested in, whether you're an intended parent or a surrogate, you can apply in the links below. I just wanted to mention that again, because it's truly such a life changing experience, whether the surrogate or the intended parent, truly is. So, is there anything that stands out about the pregnancy? I know you're on your feet a lot with doing hair. Did the intended parents ever make you feel like they were not comfortable with that, or wanted you to have a certain diet? There are questions that women ask. I think those are kind of a few of the ones that come to mind. If how much say intended parents have versus what you have in the pregnancy.
I think it's hard too because I've heard of that. I've heard of stories of people being like how strict the contracts are. They weren't like that to me at all. They were always concerned about my health. They want to make sure that I felt good. And I felt like it was just so genuine. So I think that I got really fortunate because I think that it was always like a question of like, how are you actually feeling? Like, how are you feeling like mentally? How do you feel? Like, are you doing okay? Do you need anything? Like, when I was doing hair at the house, I was just taking random people like that I was meeting from the coffee shop. And then the coffee shop was busy. I mean, it's 6 hours straight, but it's pretty intense. Like you're working like nonstop.
Mhm.
And so that was why it was a choice for me to quit is because I was like, I think that I don't think I'm drinking enough water. I don't think I'm getting exactly what I need. And I think it was more of me kind of controlling my body because I felt like I knew my body so well that it was just
Mhm.
a choice of mine. But never once did they say that. They even said like, oh, if you feel like you have to do that, like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, no, no. This is my choice.
Oh,
I want to make sure I'm doing what I need to do. So we're feeling good. Like we can cut
yeah,
back on what we need to be able to do that. And so that was a choice. And then I definitely jumped right back into that job immediately after. And I think that was it too. Like my body felt so great because I was so aware of how I felt and not having a baby there was a huge part of my healing. I went back after 5 days. They were like, you can't come back here. Baby or
yeah.
not, like go take
They're
a
like,
couple weeks
please take a little bit more time. You're like, no, I'm good.
yeah. So I remember being like, "I don't wanna work," like, it's like, I think that was a lot of my healing though too, is I always say that I go back to work after babies quickly for my mental health, because if I'm not behind the chair, I'm not Alyssa. So, like, I gotta go back to being Alyssa for a sec, connect back with work so I can be work and I can be mom. Like that's just how I've always been able to connect with myself. I think how I've been lucky enough to avoid the postpartum feelings. I think I can always find myself again by being behind the chair. And so for me at that time, it was a coffee shop and I ran back to it because I was like, you worry about those highs and lows in between or kind of after, but I did actually pump a lot after. I think it was because I really didn't donate or anything. I probably should have. I didn't look into it. It was more for myself, like so I could feel like it was kind of like uh getting my body kind of back to where I needed it to, like internally. And then also just in case they wanted it.
Yeah, I remember when I had the twins, I delivered a little over 33 weeks, and the IPs got there about, I think, 24 hours or so after they were born. So they were in the NICU, but they were doing really well. And I had a C-section, so I was in the hospital for a few days healing before I could be discharged. And my milk like hadn't come in, and that time of like
Mm.
just your body needing to do that. That is a natural process. And they wheeled me down to the NICU to see the babies. And I could like feel, I could hear babies crying, and instantly it helped like my milk come in. And I did the same. Like I didn't pump for the twins because they were supplementing formula, being in the NICU, but that helped me heal and just kind of get back to, um, you know, my pre-pregnancy and just healing. So I think it is an important part of it, and just listening to your body, and whether you pump and donate milk or not, or you're pumping for the baby, either way, it doesn't matter. It's just whatever your body needs, and just listening to
Totally.
your body. But I think even with your intended parents, going back to you just taking care of yourself and them almost feeling bad that the pregnancy was maybe interfering with your life.
Yeah, they
That
were very
that's it's just so sweet because I
feel
think it
so
just shows you how important the individual relationships are with the surrogate and the intended parent first, because the pregnancy is an addition to that journey, and the journey starts with that connection first, and then it just a layer.
exactly. You almost feel like our relationship was so special and I feel like it almost felt like I guess it almost felt like I was always meant to be doing this for them. Like it was always like we had just such a deep connection because
Yeah.
they cared so much about how I felt. And I think that they would constantly thank me and thank you and thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. Even now. I mean, she's going to be 8 in January and they're so sweet to me. Like, I got this letter in the mail with a whole bunch of baby clothes for my little one, and it was all these pictures that she drew for our family, and it was like a big heart, and it had my now boyfriend, our baby's name, my kids' names, and her name in this heart. It was like, ugh, and then she drew this picture of me, and like, it was like
Aw.
it was so special to me, and I feel like, that relationship starts from the ground and how him and I were so close, and we were really in communication a lot because his husband was so busy traveling, and so when I say he, it's like because we just really had this bond, and it was his sperm, so it was like, gonna be genetically his baby as well, but I feel like that connection still goes on. Like, it was just so sweet that they sent that, and it meant so much to us, and I mean, I have it on the fridge. It's, like, just so sweet, and I
Mhm.
think, yeah, I think the care for one another is the biggest part of the journey, is caring truly for one another, knowing what trying to put yourself in their shoes and, like, how their babies across the world growing in someone else's body and how you have to be thinking about that and they're thinking about you, like how are like, so I think that was a huge part of it, is that connection and kind of keeping that going. I couldn't imagine just like a, hey, what's up, okay, bye. There's no would have worked that way.
Yeah, I always use the word serendipity to explain kind of how I felt like our paths crossed at just the right time. I mean, what are the chances that you come from totally different countries and backgrounds, and then you decided to apply to become a surrogate. They applied to become an intended parent.
It's so perfect.
How does it line up?
I
It's
know.
just meant to be, I think, or other people talk about it as like the invisible string.
Totally.
Um,
Oh, I totally feel that. Yeah.
I love
Mhm.
that theory. And it does make me wonder because it just feels like some things were truly meant to be, and there's really no explanation other than just we were meant to cross paths.
Absolutely, absolutely. For
Yeah.
sure. Definitely.
Yeah. Um, so at delivery, how were you induced or did you go into labor naturally?
Spring was a little bit scary because they weren't in the country yet. I've always gone a week early. For the other two, I went a week early. And
Mhm.
so I just wanted to make sure they knew that. I was measuring at 4 or 5 that morning on the appointment. And I let them know, hey, I would make your way out here. I just don't know where we're at.
Yeah.
And so I started feeling some contractions at night. And I went to bed. I'm like, I'm gonna go to bed. I know that they're not in the country yet. It's gonna be fine. I'm gonna ride this out. I know now what to feel. I know where I'm at, and I know what will keep me at a hospital way too long. You kind of are by the third, you have an idea.
Mhm.
And it started getting really bad at like 2 in the morning. I called my dad. He came to pick me up and take me there. And I got there and I was at a 7. Um, and I was having contractions very quickly. And so they just arrived at the hospital, but one of them had influenza A. So they
Mhm.
couldn't go on the floor. And then the other one had to be tested. And so I'm hearing this and I'm like, okay, so if you're not going to be here, who is doing skin to skin with this baby? Because it's not me. And I'm like, that is the least spring thing I've ever said. But I was so terrified. That was what I was scared of. I would say, you're going to take this baby out, you're going to put clothes on it, and then you're going to put a bottle in its mouth, and then I can hold the baby. Like I was like, that was my fear is
Mhm.
the movement from the body to like, I don't think I could have done the like, oh, I think I would have just been like super attached. I think it would have been a natural feeling for me. So I was nervous about that hormonally. And so I said, like, well, who's gonna do skin to skin if he's sick? And so my ex at the time was like, I'll do it. I'm like, okay, we're good. Then we're good. We're good. I was super nervous about that feeling, like that mom feeling.
Yeah.
So that was like, thank God for that. But I feel like he was fine and he was able to be in there. So he came in
Oh,
and I
good.
like an hour and a half and she was already out. So it was super quick. He was even like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe how fast. And so I was like, I know it was super quick. And I think it was because I was like ready. I could feel like all of those feelings. I kind of had an idea of where my body was at. I knew what was too painful and what wasn't. I kind of had a feeling. So I think I got lucky with the timing and I was thankful that he was able to watch the whole thing.
So you were comfortable. You knew that you were comfortable allowing one or both of them to
Oh,
be in the room for delivery.
I think the reason though is because my daughter's delivery, I had a teacher and he was like, a lot. He was like, "Oh my god, you got this!" Like in my face, like I'm like, "Oh my god." So then I was thinking like, "Wow, this was a lot." And so I'm like, after that experience, I'm like, the whole
Yeah.
world could come in, and I'd be like, "Come on in." Like it was a
Mhm.
lot. So I'm like, I always say like, "Oh yeah, whatever. Whoever wants to come in, sure." Like Trey's sister was in it in our delivery room, and she was right there. I'm like, we have a
Aw.
very tight bond after that, and I feel like it's a lot to see, but I feel like I'm not really shy about it now. But yeah, no, I was
Yeah.
totally open with it. Yeah, I wanted them
Yeah.
there. I wanted them to feel like that was their whole experience. I really needed that for them. Yeah, I thought it was really special for him to be
Did
there.
you get emotional seeing
Oh
so
my god.
the dad ended up being doing skin to skin, not your ex,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
I can't
Um,
imagine, like, that was probably just
no.
such a
Oh, I
beautiful
was
moment
oh,
to see. It's like, it's just
yeah. I was
indescribable, to see them with
yeah.
their baby.
And she was big. She was like, I think she was like 8'3". And I just like a big healthy baby. You know what I mean? It's
Perfect.
like it
Yeah,
was so
it's
special, like
perfect.
just to see like I think that moment for me, that's why I always say like that moment. was so powerful and special to me, and I felt
Mhm.
bad saying that 'cause I'm like, "Oh, I have 2 other ones." It's not that that wasn't it's just that that was just so, like, remarkable. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you have your baby." It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you get to feel now that feeling of, like, love, and, like,
Mhm.
there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
There really isn't.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that moment.
Did you bring your kids up, or not you, but did someone bring your kids up to meet her at the hospital?
We went home the next day. And then, we went to their, they had an Airbnb here, and
Mhm.
they stayed for a month. So, we got to visit a couple times. So, we got to visit, and, like, my daughter got to feed her, and then, like, the kids got to play together, and then they had us over for this massive, like, Spanish meal. Oh, it was so special with my parents. It was a really special moment. It was very special to have all of our families together, and I can't say that everyone's like that
Yeah.
because I know they had a previous surrogate that didn't want anything to do with it afterwards, and they were telling me, "If you don't, that's okay." I was like, "Oh my gosh, no." So I think, it depends on the people. I just got super
Yeah.
fortunate with the experience. Mhm.
Yeah, we had a similar experience. They were in town for several weeks. So the twins were in the NICU for 3 weeks, and
Okay.
then once they were discharged, they were here for another, I think, 3 weeks, maybe 6 weeks total.
Wow.
So they were working on getting passports made so that they could travel home with the babies. And I love telling this story. Um, well, we shared the meals and everything. That was the first time I ever tried lentils. So one of them made
Oh,
lentils, and I helped like feed the babies and
memory.
just hang out with them at their Airbnb, and so that was really nice. And then my family made a meal, and they met my parents, and it was really lovely. But when they were working on getting their passports, I hadn't really thought about how a baby gets a passport, but it is so funny. So we went to this place that takes the photos for the passports, and they had one of the dads hold the baby up to this, screen of like white backdrop or whatever it was. And but their heads are like, just
Yeah.
swivel.
Oh
They
my
can't even
gosh.
hold their head up. And
Strong
so
back.
yeah, and he's getting yelled at by the guy, the employee
No.
taking the picture, like, "No, I can see your hand in there. You need to get your hand out of the way." And so he's like, "I don't know how to, duck down and hold the
What?
baby up."
Oh
It was
my
so
gosh.
funny.
That's
Um,
weird. I feel like they should be laid down on, like, a
lay
screen or
down
something.
and do kind of an aerial view.
Yes, of course. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, they
That's
had to
so
hold
weird.
them up, but also not be in the photo at all. So that was
Wow,
just the
wow.
funniest,
Oh my gosh, that's so
one
funny.
of the funniest things, like, I can still just picture it to this day, and, oh my
And,
gosh,
like,
it
they
was
don't even
just
look like themselves after a week. It's like,
no.
"Is that my baby?" Like, when you look back on pictures, you're like, "That's
Even
not
1 week. Yeah.
not
By the
not
time
right."
they got the passports, they're already looking different, yeah.
Yeah.
And there were some times that there was one trip we made to, this butterfly garden, and I could not believe the amount of people, that asked if they were twins. So they're being pushed in a double stroller. They're both newborns, and people could not help it. They would be like, "Oh my gosh, are they twins?" It's just so funny to me. Like, yeah, we just happened to have these babies, like, at the same time.
Gosh,
And
that's
they definitely thought, like, there were some comments that we were like a throuple. Um,
so
we just went with it. We're like,
yes,
let them think
yes.
what they wanna think. We're not going to
Yeah,
explain anything. So yeah,
yeah. He
we
always
had
says
such a great time.
he always says, "If I was told that I would be with somebody that had a baby with 3 different men, I'd be like, 'There's no way.'" I'm like, "That's hilarious," because yeah, that's me. Now it's 4.
That's
So,
me.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Do
gosh.
you
Yeah.
remember the time that they left and that you had to say goodbye? Can you describe, even though that's super sad, I bawled my eyes out,
Yeah.
but can you
Sad.
talk about that and how did you cope with them leaving?
I feel like I am one to go right to the next thing to I don't wanna say distract, but I guess it's kind of what I'm doing, to distract myself to kind of move
Total
forward. So
avoiding.
I was already thinking about work. I was already thinking like, okay, this is beautiful. Oh my God, this is great. And they're so happy and everyone's healthy and everyone feels good. And I remember it being sad to have them leave, but I felt so great because I knew we had a really special connection. So I think because they were so far away, I still felt like I wasn't going to lose that
Mhm.
friendship. And I remember being um sad for my kids because they felt something. They felt the loss. And they even just the other day I was doing dishes and my daughter said, sometimes you wish she was ours too. So then you'd have me and Graham and her and the baby. I'm like, well, no, I mean she's ours. We love her, of course. Like, she's somebody else's. But like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like it's like she still thinks about that. So like
Yeah.
that to her, even at 8 years later, is like she misses that too. Like I think it's interesting
Mhm.
that you experienced that, that loss of someone that is in your life and you were carrying and like it's just like it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like, when you have a close friend and you want them to spend the night every night, that you're like,
Yes. I also want
I
you here.
I know that she is not my sister, but I think she's
Yeah.
probably just feeling like that's my friend and I want her to be here all the
Yeah,
time so
she
we can
wants her
play
out.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's super sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk? I know you mentioned your dad having some concerns about
Mhm.
you pursuing surrogacy. Are there any things that stand out that people were concerned for you or worried about you or had a specific opinion about you becoming a surrogate?
Oh yeah, everyone had an opinion. Um, Everyone was saying something. I
Yeah.
also think that I mean, I do care what people think about me, but for some reason I didn't in those moments because I knew where it was coming from for me.
Okay.
Um, I heard a lot of like really inappropriate things about how you're like selling your body for money, or I would hear about like the Handmaid's Tale comments, like things that are very hurtful.
Yeah.
I know that a couple people were kind of out of our life after that, because they didn't agree with what I did, for religious purposes, but like then that's not the people I need to be around. And I think that that's the view you have to take on it. You have to be in your right mind to be able to do something like this. You have to know that what you're doing is because you feel like it's right and you know that people deserve to have this type of love and a child, and you have to be sure in you and sure in your body and sure in your family. And my parents were extremely supportive. And if I don't have any other support than that, I don't care. Um, so I think that my parents more so um, were worried about me being too attached. But my dad, you know, wrote something super sweet to me. And it was just like, I'm so proud of you. And you are like so strong for doing something like this. And you just like, your heart is so big for doing something like that. And I was like, I am you guys. Like, I am a carbon copy of you two together. I mean, like, look in the
Mhm.
mirror. You know what I mean? Like, you guys raised me to love. You've raised me to be me. You've raised me to go after what I want, what I believe. And I think we all have to we got to come together in a couple of those moments, because people will judge you and people might walk away. Like, people are kind of judgmental.
Mhm.
They also don't know the whole facts. They don't know how it happens. Some people don't even know how it even gets into your body. Um, I've heard stuff about that. I also, people don't know if it's your egg. They don't know if it's not your egg. They are like, oh, you can just have a baby out there and you don't feel bad. Like, well,
Mhm.
no, it's not that. Like, you don't even know the whole story. So I think if people don't know the whole story, it's almost like you can't have
Mhm.
them. They're not even asking, but if people want to
Yeah.
ask me, I'll talk about it. And they always say, do you mind talking about it? I said, oh my God, no, I am happy to talk about it because I think it does freak some people out.
Did you feel obligated in any way to explain it, or did you just kind of find peace with it and know that they're going to part ways and that's for the better?
I feel like there's parts of me that I'm not scared to confront someone if I feel like it's justifiable.
Mhm.
But I also feel like if you're able to walk away from us because of that, um, you're not for us. You're not our family. You're not what you said you were. And I'm okay with that. I don't need to try to like prove it. I think if you were to come to me, ask questions and still walk away, um, that's hard too. Cause it's like, I try to tell you and justify it or make you believe that this is why I'm doing this. But if you I just can't. I can't try to explain it away. Like it's a beautiful experience. And like it was so special that like you're not gonna taint it for me. Like your judgment's
Right.
not gonna affect me. You know, I
Yeah.
think you have to be strong in that. And I'm not naturally like that. Naturally, I mean, you can ask my boyfriend, I could cry in the drop of a hat. I'm very sensitive. I'm very if I'm being judged by anyone, I'm very sad. Like I want to be everyone's friend. That is hard for me. But I think in this moment, it wasn't about me. It's about having someone build their family, and I think you've gotta be strong in that, and if you aren't, like, you gotta like, almost like, my kids having to, like, uh they would have to be explaining it, you know what I mean? Like, my kids would also have to explain that, like, I don't ever want them to feel like that, like, they would have to explain it away, like, I have to be
Right.
strong in my feelings, so they felt good about it too, you know what I mean? Like, they can't be like, "Oh
Mhm.
god, what do I say when someone asks?" Like, nothing," you
Yeah,
know,
you don't
like,
want it to feel like a secret,
no,
like that
yeah,
they can't talk
yeah,
about or that
exactly,
they aren't versed in being able to explain it and stand by that. Yeah, you don't want it to be this like taboo topic for them.
I feel like we're all like that too. I think we're like, such a mirror for our kids and we forget it until they bring it to us and we're like, "Oh my, did I react like that? Like, oh my gosh, I did do that." And so I think with that, I was like, when I was hearing this about my family, I was like, "You know what? That's okay. Like we gotta
Mhm.
just keep it moving. Like we have a new family and this is great. Like
Yeah,
you just gotta,
yeah.
you know what I mean? It's yeah.
Yeah, I got one letter from a family member, and her just expressing her distaste for the journey, due to religious reasons and me caring for a same-sex couple, and she feels very strongly about that, and I think it wasn't super surprising. I think we were I don't know that I was prepared to get a letter, like, that she would take the time to handwrite a letter about it, but overall, I think we kind of expected that type of response and that it's not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm not trying to make it be that way for you. Um, and that's okay. But I think being prepared, and
Yes.
kind of
Oh, for sure.
knowing your family and your unit and how people might respond to that. I know that some surrogates have come to the matching process and said, "I would love to work with a same-sex couple, but I know that this person in my life is very strongly against that. And so, just for my peace, so that I have a peaceful pregnancy, that I am going to help a single intended parent or a hetero couple instead." And either way, all intended parents are here for the same reason. And so, if it means that she's helping someone else, ultimately, she's helping someone. So, it needs to be right for the surrogate and however she wants to include or not include other people in that decision, but that you need to just feel good about it because you were able to lean into the experience and the
Totally.
family that you were gaining. So if someone did walk away, then their spot was filled with someone else that was even more loving, that you connected really well with. So
I think nothing means more to me than people being able to have the feelings that they want. If it's a job you want, if it's a life you want, like if I can give you something that you want that you can't give yourself, it's like I don't care. I don't care what the situation is. I think it's like everyone deserves that, and I don't think we should be able to judge like that. I just think, and that was what was confusing. It was there was so much judgment, yet we don't judge. So I just was really like, I
mhm.
just wasn't okay with that, and I was like, you almost can't explain that away to somebody when they have her feelings on it. There's no point in even talking about it. Like, okay,
Mhm.
well, you're what you're gonna say, but it's not gonna change me.
Yeah, and you still had an incredible journey, and again, the impact of your journey on the intended parents, even their parents. You mentioned the grandparents that
Oh
gain
yeah,
another grandchild, or maybe one of their siblings that is gaining a niece or nephew. So it's just, um,
beautiful.
you know,
circle, big
yeah,
thing.
goes well beyond that. So, is there anything that you wish you knew before you got started on your journey?
Mm-mm. I love going into it just like,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, I feel like it's like I just like freaking floated into it. You know what I mean? It's like I wanted that so bad to just be like, I was so naive. And I feel like maybe because I've been working so long and I'm so into my industry, I have to know everything. I have to know everything about hair and all the time and that I feel like this was just like a sure, oh, do this. Okay. Like I feel like it was the first time I ever was able to like breathe, like take a breath of like, whoa, okay. Like just, go for it. Whatever they say, this is what
Just
we're doing.
yeah, and it kind of breaks up your normal everyday life and replaces it with something that most people don't experience at all. And I know you talked about your clients or other people that find out that you were a surrogate, and you don't know any other surrogates aside
No, I
from
really don't.
each
You.
other. And
Mhm.
yeah, and so it is something that is pretty rare to come across other people that share that experience.
Yeah, it's super special. Yeah, it's a very special thing to be able to experience for sure. And I think if you want that and you're at a good time in your life to be able to do so, oh, I think it is just it's the greatest thing. It's just so special. It's so special to experience. I was lucky. I was super grounded in myself, and it was a perfect time for me. There are other times in my life that I don't know if I would have been the same, but that was the perfect time.
Well, thank you so much for joining.
Thank
It
you. Thank you. I love talking about
truly is so calming to talk to you always. I mean, since we
you.
were kids and
And
even in choir, we used to sing together.
we would sing together and we would talk together.
Yeah,
We definitely got a
yeah.
lot of talking.
We would spend a lot
That
of
we
time
got.
talking and maybe getting in trouble a few times for talking too much. But
Oh, yeah.
um, yeah, I love hearing you talk about your experience, and it just really reminds me to just be in the moment. And I love that about you, that you're able to just kind of shut out any kind of noise and focus on what's in front of you, and the connection that you had with the intended parents and the baby. It's just such a beautiful story. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. I love hearing yours too. It's just so special. It's like, I mean, obviously it's what inspired me. So I really am thankful for our friendship and like what brought us together too.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for listening to this episode on our podcast From Bump to Bond, and we will see you next time.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might find it just as thought-provoking.